don't you have a seat right over here for me?
The Fakertarians, John Hudak and company, absolutely are entirely scum.
I don't trust these motherfuckers at all, and they're absolute fucking scumbags.
Good night, Moon. Good night, Moon. Good night, cow jumping over the moon.
It sucks, okay? Because Hudak has become like this annoying fucking bugaboo in the movement, right? Mm-hmm. But I have a soft spot for John Hudak. Like, honest to God, I do, right? Like,
a little bit of context is important. If you don't know who John Hudak is, if you don't know who Fakertarians are and what they are about, it helps in this context, because these are the people who have been going after Tom Woods for years, specifically to discredit him.
I know some good games we could play, said the cat. I know some new tricks, said the cat in the hat. A lot of good tricks. I will show them to you. Uh-oh. Your mother will not mind at all if I do.
Uh-oh. Me and that guy will exchange words when the time comes, because I think we need to talk about that in person and certainly hash that out.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 47 of the Fakertarians podcast. I'm your host, John Hudak, along with Jeremy Kantorowicz, Cosmic Kraka, and our tech guy. So today, we don't have a guest again, just like last episode. We're going to talk about everything that's been going on, because we all know there's been a lot going on. So before we get started, how's everybody doing today here?
Good so far. Typical Saturday. The snow's finally melted. I'm not in a hotel. So, back at home.
That's good news.
I'll tell you how my day's going. It's been pretty good. I woke up around noon, I think. Overate way too much last night. I'll tell you, CVS has their trail mix on sale right now for $2.99. Okay, well, I'm a sucker for that stuff. So I get the trail mix home. I think I ate like a bag and a half of it, and like the serving size is like half a cup. Okay, so I wake up today and I'm not feeling great. I downed at noon, down a pot of coffee. For long, I'm in the bathroom puking my guts out, man. Like I literally puke my guts out. Now I feel great. So the moral of the story is, when you don't feel good, kids, and this includes drinking and everything else, puke, and then you can keep on going once you're better.
Yeah, that's some wisdom right there.
Yeah. This is wisdom I picked up over the years, John. It's things you can't really teach. You just have to learn. There's usually a lot of MD Mad Dog 4040 involved, and Jack Daniels, and a lot of different stuff that you have to imbibe in order to get to the point that I'm in right now.
That's pretty reasonable. Yeah. So let's get started on talking about some stuff today. Obviously, our last episode was about Mr. Woods, who we alluded to a little bit in the intro. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but
good old Tommy.
Yeah. Oh, I missed it.
He was asked to take a seat in the intro. But the Libertarian National Committee, in case anyone missed this, about a week ago, put forward a motion to revoke his speaker spot at the Libertarian National Convention coming up. The vote on that is very close right now. It ends tonight. I think it technically ends at like 3 a.m. Eastern time for some reason, because I guess that's how the LNC works. We're still waiting on a lot of votes to come in. I think have even half of them voted yet? Maybe a little over half.
So there are, so currently there are 5 yes votes from Ebke, Longstreth, Phillips, Sarwark, and Wilford. So they have voted yes. There are 7 people who have not voted. Vest. I don't know how to pronounce Whitney's last name. I will be honest.
I think it's Bilyeu.
Bilyeu.
But the chair usually only votes if there's a tie break. I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
Let's see. either Bowen or Ford, Hagen, Hewitt, Vieira,
Lucchini or Flores, and then I think Nana or Hall.
Nana or Hall are do.
So yeah, there's some big votes coming in, especially some ones we don't exactly know which way it's going to go. I feel like I don't think it'll pass, but it's the kind of thing where there's a chance right now. It really could go either way. It's really going to depend on the swing votes here. But I will say to any LNC member that may randomly be watching this, you're not going to want the PR nightmare that's going to be on your hands once this story continues to develop, because it is not good. It is going to look really bad. Continuing to associate with this guy, even with the evidence that's out there right now, inviting him to speak at your convention, and then there actually being a motion to end him speaking there, and then it being shot down. It's not going to look good. Let me just say that. I can, as someone who's been involved a lot in breaking the story and will continue to be involved a lot in breaking the story, it is not going to look good. And I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm even being kind of nice by warning this, because let's be real here. With the convention coming up next month, 99% chance, who knows exactly, but 99% chance that Mises pretty much takes everything over. So, like, if they want to have their own dumpster fire and just look like shit over this, like, okay, I'll welcome them to, but I'm warning them here. Like, it's not gonna look good. And you guys already have enough issues on your hands with when you got Jeremy Kauffman running around as your Senate candidate and all the other issues there. But I don't think you're going to want this one. Let me just say that.
And it's a sword that you're choosing to fall on that you don't have any obligation to. Like, you just get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Well, yeah, that's the interesting thing with people saying that this is like an attack on the Mises Caucus. Like, let me be clear here. I've been clear. This is an attack on, not even attack. This is not even an attack. This is telling the truth about Tom Woods. It has nothing to do with the Mises Caucus. The only reason that this reflects badly on the Mises Caucus is that they're standing behind him so hard. They're not even saying, like, a lot of them aren't even saying, like, let's wait till more evidence comes out. Like, this looks like it could be bad, or anything like that. They're like, no, this is a politically motivated attack, and it's happening because it's right before Reno. I don't know. It's the idea that this is something to make them lose at Reno. Like, I already know they're going to win at Reno, and if I was going to launch some giant attack on Mises to try to make them lose, wouldn't I do it on one of their actual candidates? Like, Tom Woods isn't even running for anything.
Right.
He's not even supposed to run for anything, at least that I know of. I don't even think he's running for anything in 2024. He's just some guy behind the scenes. So when I say that this is not an attack on the Mises Caucus, like, trust me, if I want to attack the Mises Caucus and I'm attacking the Mises Caucus, I will be the first one to tell you that I am attacking the Mises Caucus. I've never been shy about that. Like, over and over, I will say, yeah, I think the Mises Caucus is terrible. I've talked to 3 national reporters in the past month about why I think the Mises Caucus is terrible. But the Tom Woods thing is not an attack on the Mises Caucus. You guys are just making it about you because you're backing him so hard.
Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's not a sword that you need to or want to fall on or should be fundraising off of.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's another thing.
Disgusting.
Even if it's, to me, and being involved in this, even with what's publicly available, it's clear to me that there's some misconduct. There's misconduct at the very least going on with Woods. But the fact that, so you would think, even if you're not going to admit that there's misconduct going on, you would think that you would say something like, we'll wait for all the facts to come out, or maybe they just wouldn't say anything. Like, they would just try to kind of avoid it, throw it under the rug, but keep an eye on it in case more does come out. But instead,
good crisis management is not fundraising off of it.
Yeah,
it's just not. That's not how you crisis manage.
And what are they going to?
It's bizarre.
Oh, go on, Brian.
I was just going to say, I've never seen anything like it. Taking an accusation of this nature and then turning it into a fundraising point, that's next level crazy. That's just not done in politics at all, especially if you're a serious party like they claim to
about
be.
that?
It's it's bizarre. I mean, the general public looks at that, and like you said, it's not even sitting back and waiting for more evidence to come out. It's this immediate attack that their gold their gold messenger, their gold statue is being torn down. And I think Woods is a great example of the problem the Libertarian Party has had for so long with cults of personality.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing these individuals throwing themselves on the sword of the cult of personality. He's been problematic for a long time. Let's look at his past. If you're even looking at it from just a political, the veneer of a good political party, he's been on the Southern Poverty Law Center's watch list for a long time. I mean, that goes back to probably 2010, maybe before that. And I used to think that was very suspect. I used to always think that was odd. And now, in retrospect, knowing everything that I do, from his involvement in League of the South, if not actually founding it, to other comments that he's made over in his weird, bizarre Catholic world, his world of dominionism. That's what Woods is. He's a dominionist, much like the late Gary North, that cracker was a dominionist. And that's a real problem we have in the party, too. A lot of these cults of personalities that everyone's willing to die for are actually at the core dominionists. I mean, have you noticed this? That's kind of one thing that ties them all together, is this idea of liberty being won under a Christian nature and a Christian banner. And that's bizarre, too. That's the antithesis of libertarianism. And these are the personalities that these individuals continue to worship, from Woods to Rockwell to Paul.
Yeah, I mean, when I left the Mises Caucus a little over 2 years ago, when I finally, I mean, it was building for a while, but when I finally had enough of that big blow up I had, I talked about how hero worship, I think those were the words I used, was just a gigantic problem. Like, they have their figures that they just venerate, and they're just like, okay, these guys are perfect, they can do no wrong. And a lot of the time, if you critique them, especially heavily, I mean, if you like, just look at, I know he's not even technically a Mises Caucus guy, but he's like one of their gods. Just look at Ron Paul. And I can say a lot of good things about Ron Paul too, but if you bring up the Ron Paul newsletters, and we're like, even if you were just like, yeah, he definitely didn't do a good job managing that there, at the very least, like, people will flip on you. They'll be like, why are you talking about the Ron Paul newsletters? What are you, CNN? Like, I've gotten that kind of stuff before. It's just like, dude, calm down a little bit.
Right. I don't get it. I just don't. I simply do not get it. But I can't get myself into that kind of reactionary mindset that they.
Well, that's interesting. The comment that just flashed on the screen saying SPLC has actively been dismissed by a lot of libertarians. I think obviously there's places I disagree with the SPLC, but I think actually a lot of that has to do with the hero worship thing. Like, they just want to throw away any possible accusation of any misconduct, even though there is a weird history of bigotry in the libertarian movement, and that's undeniable to anyone who actually looks at the evidence there.
Yeah. Alex Jones did a lot to work to destroy the SPLC's reputation within the libertarian circles. That's where, when I was young, I remember I used to read a lot of books by Morris Dees. I've always been fascinated with right-wing ideology, and how I also am always been fascinated, especially with how Christianity and religiosity has been intermixed in white nationalism. So I used to read a lot of Morris Dees, and I always really enjoyed his work. And then Alex Jones, man, when I let the brainwashing take over there, the SPLCO, anything they said was suspect, no matter what it was, suspect. And that's where we're at in the party. People still are holding on to that. Everything is suspect, they say, when it's not. Wake up from your cult. That's what we have too, John. And I've been telling a lot of these Mises clowns that very fact online. Welcome to the cult. You're in a cult. It is an actual honest to God cult. I've been studying cults for a long time. I was watching this fantastic YouTuber I watch, and he studies cults too. He was in one when he was young, the Jehovah's Witnesses. And everything going on shows the surefire signs of a cult, not a freedom movement, not a movement of individualists with different ideas. It's a goddamn cult.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just going to dismiss offhand anything that comes out from the SPLC, even if there's actual backing to it, but you'll look at LouRockwell.com, which has some of the most ridiculous articles I've ever seen in my life about how like the vaccine is like to murder everyone for population control. There's some hilarious shit on there. Like I was like, and oh yeah, the one that was calling like Putin a classical liberal. It's like,
Oh yeah,
what kind of drugs are these people on? Like, my God. But if you're looking
literally linking to Stormfront.
yeah, oh yeah.
No, not Stormfront, the Daily
Stormfront
Stormer.
Loop.
Let's be,
Daily Stormer,
let's be,
sorry.
we got to be
Oh,
clear
Daily
about our
Stormer.
neo-Nazi sites here. But what I was saying though, if you're looking at that is if you're looking at LouRockwell.com as some beacon of truth, like you're just out of your mind. It's just like a shit posting site for some old dude at this point.
It is,
Dude. I was
Soros,
there at one
Soviets,
point.
Science and Blood is
Yeah.
one of the posts up there today on Lou Rockwell. Like what?
You know, I bet reads Lou Rockwell every day. Margaret Taylor Greene or whatever the hell her
Marjorie
name
Taylor-
is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
crazy congresswoman. Everything she says mirrors Rockwell's website postings.
A lot of
I
it,
could
a lot
absolutely
of it
see
is
that.
in it.
Mhm.
You know,
And she thinks that's the intellectual web.
Mm-hmm. Although she got caught saying the other day that like women have abortions because Satan whispers in their ear if they have an abortion.
Wait, she said that?
Yeah.
If they have the
God.
abortion, they're gonna marry. The guy's gonna marry them. That's what Satan whispers.
Satan whispers a lot of
What?
things to
Don't
Marjorie
give
Taylor
me a Tucker
Greene.
face, John. You just gave me a Tucker Carlson face.
That was a Tucker face.
I gotta go tan my balls now or whatever.
And fucking Eminem.
These kind of people are a driving force in this country.
And Jeremy,
It's scary.
Dominionist. She's a Dominionist. That's why Satan is whispering stuff. The thing that pulls them all together isn't even politics. It's their religious views. Every one of them has the same Dominionist sort of view. It's bizarre and it's terrifying when you actually start looking at that. What was one of Woods's dismissals? You don't understand traditional Catholics. You don't understand that traditional Catholics were all about child abuse. You don't understand that traditional Catholics were all about, oh, we'll sell you my daughter for a cow, going back to the old dowry days. Seriously, those cases exist in American history, and that's what they would like to renormalize. And it's terrifying to me, absolutely terrifying. We'll have stonings outside the gate and they'll cheer us on. I mean, look at January 6th. That was what dominionism will look like. If you're not the Christian of what they believe you to be, you're going down, baby. And that's what's funny. So many of these people who are supporting them, they don't understand this. They don't understand the religious roots of what they're falling into. But they're going to be put on the trains, man. And whatever the replacement for Zyklon B is, that's going to be used on them. They're the ones that are going to be in the chambers someday too. They're useful fucking idiots.
I mean, yeah, I feel like people just get kind of roped into, like, they hear, I mean, it happened to me for a bit. Like, they hear Ron Paul say some good stuff, and then they just, and like, Ron Paul has said some good stuff. He's done some good things. Like, I'm happy to say that over and over. But Pete, you just kind of get roped into the cult after a while. And it's just any kind of criticism is just without evidence, or it's just total bullshit. Like when they attacked my Woods article, they would say there's no evidence, or they would say that like they can't believe it because it's coming from me. But
right,
literally all of it,
you are a known liar, apparently.
Thanks, Dave. But literally all of it was just sourced and hyperlinked. Like it was just me compiling things, and I even put them in the articles so people could look them up themselves. So you
which is
can't
what
say,
good reporting is. That
Yeah,
is great reporting right there, John.
well, thank you. But you can't say there's no evidence when they're like you can make the argument that the evidence that's publicly available isn't enough to say for sure that he did what he's being accused of doing, which I disagree with. But you can't say that there's just no evidence. Like, that's just a view that's contrary to reality.
Right. It is. It's not reality. And, well, or calling it hearsay because, you know, they don't know what hearsay
Oh yeah.
means.
Yeah, I always try to get people to explain what hearsay means when they're like, it's just hearsay. And then I say, like, well, can you tell the rest of the class what that means? And it's just nope, they just disappear.
Yep.
I'll tell you.
It seems hearsay is thing I don't like is what it is.
The entire Woods cult coming out in full force as they have done has honestly been very amusing to watch.
Oh yeah.
The denials, the dismissals, the games they play, the hearsay games they play. It's wonderful, wonderful entertainment for a few hours online because it's not based in reality. It's based on cult thinking. They don't care where they end up eventually because they are so sold on the idea that they're propped up upon this foundation, of these great minds. Guess what, Buckaroo? Don't meet your heroes because all your heroes are human and all your humans are failed. And if you're a Christian and you claim to be, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, or you should, Cracker.
I like your cracker thing at the end.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like it's devolved, and not even devolved. I don't even think that's the right word, but just turned into a money-making scheme for Michael Heiss and company, or an influencer scheme too, because he gets to talk to all his heroes and basically, like, he just does this as a job now. It's totally a grift.
It's absolutely a grift, but hasn't the Libertarian Party just been full of grifters for a long, long time? Let's face it, and I think that's what's so beautiful of where we sit right now. Let's just call it all out for what it is. It's always been this way. These people move in for a little while. They're one of us, and they're making money. Roger, or what's his name? War. Wayne Allen Root.
Oh yeah.
That cracker. He cracked me up because it was so obvious. I remember going to the Kansas Libertarian Convention when he was vying to become the presidential nominee. And oh my God, I was like, stop trying to sell me cars, dude. Because the slime was just dripping off of him so terribly. And you could tell he was in it for the grift. That's all he was here for. He was here to make some money. They all are. It doesn't matter right or left. The people that come into this party, they're here to make a few dollars off of these full believers, because that's what they are. They're true believers. And then they go on about their business. And that's why we then get another influx. But people like Woods, who had the contacts that they've had with Rothbard, with him blowing hopper or whatever he does on weekends at the cabin, that gives them an extra sense of he really was with Jesus. He was with the actual prophet, that makes him magical and divine in some ways. And so we can't talk ill of him. Ron Paul, he was so close with Murray Rothbard. No way can we talk ill of him. And that's what we have. We have a cult of grifters and a cult of true believers, as you always have. And it's just the mess and the burning dumpster that it's become.
Yeah.
I thought it was... Oh, go on, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah, there was a comment pop back up here. It's not even the most profitable grift. Like, obviously, I mean, Root went on to make a lot more money. Same with Stone. Hanging around the Trump crowd because that, that's the next one. But it's not even just about the money. It's about, the attention.
The status.
And
sure.
The status, it's seeking to be a cult leader. I mean, more or less, and you're basically hopping from place to place to do that, while also making a few bucks along the way.
So it's been interesting to me how many people are willing to go down with the wood ship, and it's like they're like on I don't know, they're on a plane above the Titanic, and I don't even know if planes are flying at that point, but they're on a plane above the Titanic, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go parachute down under this." Like they're seeking out a sinking ship, and they're like they're determined to go down with the ship. Like Scott Horton, for instance, and I can't even say for sure that this is true because it's just coming from Heiss, and I heard from someone that like Heiss has said that Scott Horton was trying to pull out of some. There you go.
That is hearsay.
I know
that is the definition.
But I heard from someone that that Heiss had said something about Horton pulling out of some event before when Horton actually wasn't going to pull out of that event. But anyway, allegedly Scott Horton is threatening to pull his speaking spot from the Libertarian National Convention if Tom Woods gets removed. And I mean, if that's true, it's like, why do you want to tie yourself to this badly?
Right.
That makes no sense. But again, John, I think it can all be summarized so simply. They're in the cult. When you're in the cult like they are, and Horton has long been in that whole the antiwar.com crowd. And again, what did we find out about old, what's his name? I can't even remember these people's names. I don't even care anymore. Raimondo, Justin Raimondo. You know, look at all the things that when he jumped on the Trump train before he died, he was an awful human being. And that was a name that was tied with Rothbard, of course. It all goes back to Daddy Cult leader Rothbard. And they're so hung up on that. And that's what's so funny. Why aren't they the Rothbard caucus? They shouldn't be the Mises caucus.
I wish they could have been like the good Rothbard instead of like the early 90s
right.
Rothbard.
Yes. Exactly. That's the thing. They have hung their hat on the paleo strategy. But then
they say it's not the paleo strategy. It's different this
time. Dave Smith's comment the other day, his post trying to downplay the similarities of this, what's happening right now in front of us, to the paleo strategy was comical. It was actually probably one of the funniest things Dave has ever said.
It was pretty hilarious.
Wasn't it funny? It was.
Like, to be able to type that out with a straight face and actually believe that, like,
and that's
exactly what Rothbard did. And he couldn't take over the LP in, I think it was 92, and that's when he pissed off and went to the GOP and backed Buchanan and did all and the newsletters, and I mean that's when that all started to really blow up.
Yeah, it was the early 90s. That they finally got David Duke article or whatever it is, or he's mad that the media took down David Duke. Like who do you think that's trying to appeal to?
Dude, I remember in high school being taught that David Duke, it was when he was trying to reinvent himself, when he was running, and I just remember even my most conservative teachers at that time laughing at this man, and showing pictures of him in his little Grand Wizard uniform. I mean, I went to a private Catholic school, and of course, Catholics have no love for the Klan, but at the same time, he's just a laughable clown. And for Rothbard to be hanging like some sort of an actual win in the public perspective by backing him was just hilarious to me.
He knows who he's trying to appeal to. They called it outreach to rednecks.
Exactly.
And I mean, you could replace that with a different R word. I mean, racist.
Yep.
But
you sure could. It was the same exact thing, and it's exactly what's been happening within the Libertarian Party with the Mises takeover. It's Rothbard would be proud of them. I'm not going to say late Rothbard would be very proud of these kids because they're doing exactly what he wanted done with the Libertarian Party. So kudos to them. Bravo to them for them making it the Rothbard Party. If that's what they want, that's what they've got.
So I want to go back to Woods for a second because I feel like I haven't given enough attention to Eric July yet. Because from our last episode, the whole thing went down maybe like an hour before we actually went on air, and I talked about him for like 10-15 minutes then. But for anyone who missed it, so when I had that Tom Woods article that was basically summarizing the publicly available information on the Tom Woods grooming scandal. And I was asked by, I'm not going to name them because I don't want to get them in trouble. I was asked by someone at Being Libertarian to write an article summarizing the entire case. And that was, I submitted it. It was, I think I updated it a couple times. It was published at 3 p.m. Eastern that day. Everything was fine. They were sharing it around on all their social media. I was getting a bunch of hits. And then I noticed maybe an hour and a half later that I was like, the link's dead. This is weird. Is there something wrong with my internet? So I think I tried it on my laptop. I tried it on my phone. It's like, still not working. This is pretty weird. I think I messaged Archie and was like, is this link working for you? Not working. So I go to Twitter, and apparently someone was complaining to Eric, like, do you still work at BL? There was they published a Tom Woods hit piece today. And then Eric said something like, oh, I'll look into it, or I'm taking care of it, or something like that. And that's when the article went down. I mean, he says like that he had a part in taking the article down, which I believe because he's one of the higher ups at Being Libertarian. And he was saying that it was just because of who I am and his problems with me, which is, I'm just going to say that's really fucking weird because
how unprofessional.
No. But even he's full of shit on that. And I'm happy to say that to him because I was published on Being Libertarian in late 2017. I think maybe early 2018 too. And he can't say that he didn't know it was there because I argued with him about the article I wrote about Hoppa. So he knew it was me. He knew it was up there. But what's even weirder is that the last time I really had like any interaction with him was Brian, when you and me went on his show. And it started very contentious. But by the end of it, we were actually we're having a good discussion, and it seemed like we were on good terms. I'm actually going to, just to illustrate how good of terms we were on, because we were talking at the end of that episode about coming on his show again, or him coming on our show, and it seemed like it was actually like a thing that might happen, and we both seemed open to it. So
well, and I thought we had all kind of worked it out because I actually found the show pretty fun. Once we all kind of reached a little point where we could agree on something, and then we were kind of gently ribbing, but it was good stuff, and it felt like we were all communicating, and that felt good. And then he completely turned around and made it something that it wasn't.
Yeah, so we talked at the end of that episode about having a dialogue in the future, and we all kind of agreed to that. So I sent him an email a couple days later. Here's what it said. This is the terrible, vicious attacks I'm making on him. Hey, Eric, just wanted to let you know I was sincere about having dialogue in the future. That wasn't just an act or something. I'd love to have you on our podcast sometime, and I'd be willing to come on again in the future to talk further. I figured we could have some conversations about some issues in philosophy now that we got some of the other stuff out of the way. And then I just said, let me know if you're interested in coming on ours and if any of the following dates work. And that was, I'm pretty sure that was like the last real contact I had with him. I mean, we maybe I don't even think we really attacked him from the page. We did that. What was it? We did the Good Job Eric July thing.
It was every Wednesday.
Because that stemmed from his episode because he said that we never
highlighted the good. We never
So
highlight the good that he or anyone else does. And I said, well, we can reach that compromise, and every Wednesday we'll have a Good Job Eric July Wednesday.
So we had that going for a while, but that was in good fun. That wasn't even that wasn't some attack on him. It was just funny.
No.
It'd be something he'd say that we'd agree with, just some little sentence, and there'd be the cartoon saying "Good job."
Just a silly, just a silly thing that he tweeted out, or completely irrelevant. But I mean, that's the thing. I was just in good fun, but
it wasn't done mean spiritedly. When I came up with that idea on the show and said that to him, I didn't mean it in mean spirit. I meant it. I thought it would be kind of a fun little angle to take, kind of every Wednesday. It's Eric July Wednesday on the Fakertarians, and it was supposed to be a fun thing, is what it was. And he apparently didn't agree to that, and he sure didn't say he didn't.
Well, no, it's just weird because the last real communication we had with him was actually productive, and he's talking about how he kept calling me a hoe, but HOE, which is the garden tool, which is the funniest fucking thing. And then he was also he switched to calling me a crackhead after a while, which I I don't know. I don't do crack. I'm not sure if he's insinuating I do or if there's some kind of weird insult going on there. But he was doing this whole tough guy act shit. Like, actually, if you saw the intro to this, there's the thing where he was like, if we ever meet, we're going to have some words in person about this or something like that. And it's like, dude, I went on your fucking podcast and talked with you and had like an hour and a half long conversation. Like, what more words do you need to say? And with the funniest part about it too, he's not even like I'm replying to all his tweets on this. He's not even acknowledging them. So if he wants to have some, like, I don't know if he's trying to intimidate me, but if he wants to actually have some conversation about it, I was replying to everything he was saying and nothing, radio silence in return.
Of course.
So I don't know. I honestly think he took that down because he's friends with Tom Woods. I think he emceed Tom Woods' like 2000 episode event or whatever it was. So like, yeah, he doesn't want those. I don't think he wants those allegations out there.
Yeah.
I honestly
of course
think
he doesn't.
I think it's fair to conclude that there's a reason why he took it down, and it's not because.
And if you look at the initial tweet asking him about it, it wasn't John Hudak has an article up on being libertarian. What's that doing there? It was there's a hit piece on Tom Woods, and it's funny too because
it was that Agarist guy.
Yeah, but for Eric to say that he wouldn't platform me when he brought me on his show for like an hour and a half is kind of interesting. And it's also interesting that the I'm getting comments here that I'm supposed to tap my head.
Hi, duck guy.
It's also interesting that oh god, I lost my train of thought now. I haven't tapped my head here.
Duck guy,
the no platform thing. Because usually you think of the no platform thing as being like a thing of the left, and all the people on the right are like, no, like we need the dissenting views. Everyone needs to be able to speak their opinion. But he's totally within his right to not have my article on there. But it's an interesting argument coming from someone who's so generally right wing on things. I'm gonna say that
it's an obvious cover up. I mean, that's what it was. He doesn't want that out there. He has the power to do it, and he did it. And it's much easier to hide behind the unprofessionalism of I don't like the guy, so I took it down, than it is to actually admit, no, I had to cover it up because my boy Tommy, he's in this piece, and ooh, it don't look so good.
Well, it was funny because he was saying like he didn't even read the article, which I don't even believe that, because I think he said something about it. Like, I swear he said something about like the article kind of not having much evidence in it, but he also said that he didn't read beyond the first paragraph. So I don't know how he would ascertain that. I mean, maybe the first paragraph doesn't have much evidence in it. I'm happy to defer to him on that one. But Eric, if you ever see this, come on here. We'd be happy to have you on, just like the time we invited you on after we had a really friendly conversation where it actually seemed like we were very cordial. We'll be nice. Let's just have a conversation about this. Or you can just call me a garden tool and a crackhead over and over and make these weird, vague threats about me. Whatever you want to do, honestly.
Now, I've smoked crack a few times in my life, and, if Eric wants to talk about crack or something like that, we can. It doesn't work as well.
Brian.
Well, when I was at a party and like a guy came in and he was very scary, and this was right around the time when Snoop Dogg had come on the scene and Dr. Dre's The Chronic. So everybody at that time had a different definition of what chronic was. Well, his definition of the chronic was marijuana mixed with a couple of crack rocks. So, yeah, I ended up smoking a little crack. Guess what, kids? Didn't become an addict. Didn't become hooked. Way too expensive. Oh, my God.
Did you end up writing an article about Tom Woods?
No, I did not. No, I didn't.
So I think we beat the Tom Woods horse to death for a little bit. I mean, I'm sure we'll be back on it in 5 minutes. But I also wanted to talk about this whole Cliff Maloney thing a bit.
Yeah, we need to definitely touch on that.
Apparently burnt up. So moving just very, very slightly over from Tom Woods.
It was interesting because
we're still in the sex offender circle.
About a week ago, Cliff Maloney actually tweeted that he was coming out in support of Tom Woods and that he would back him. Obviously, he's talking about the grooming shit. Oh, I want to address. How do I do this thing? Because I'm finally an admin now. Do I go over and click show to have it show up?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Wow, that actually works. So I've like before last show, I never had access to any of the comments here, so it wasn't me actually putting anything up. I
used to do that. I love putting up the comments.
I'm not a Tho Bishop fan. I'll say that, but
me either.
It'd be great if the Mises people would go to the Republican Party with him and do their like I don't know unleash the police on the homeless people thing or whatever they want to do over there. That'd be great.
Well, and really, that's where I stand with so much of this. Let them all go over to the Republican Party. That's where they belong. It's why Buchanan went there. It's why late Rothbard went there. It's where they belong. There's a paleo-libertarian wing of the Republican Party that exists. It's been there a long time, and now they call it the Freedom Wing with Rand and the group of weirdos. They're all welcome to go there and do their little thing and be dominionists together and jerk it to Jesus. But it's not welcome within the Libertarian Party. It's not the place for that mindset when you want to enforce that mindset on everyone else, as ultimately at the end of the day they do. So go be Republicans. Enjoy yourself. Maybe I'll see you at coffee or at brunch or have a donut with you. But other than that, you don't belong in the party.
Well, I mean, I think they're 99, like I was saying, 99% chance they're going to take it over. And I mean, I just won't support the Libertarian Party if it's run by them. I think a lot of people are going to be like that. They're just going to be like, okay, like these weirdos are running it now. Like it's not going to touch it.
Well, and the writing has been kind of on the wall. A lot of people have seen the writing on the wall. I mean, and that's reflected in this kind of the state of the the Libertarian Party.
Same thing now.
Yeah. and that's just, coming down to raw numbers. I mean, they literally have $1,700 in reserves, I guess we would say, unaccounted or, unpromised cash. The party has $1,700. The National Party, which was on target for, I think, $85,000, basically 3 months of operating expenses saved up. And now they have to fulfill obligations, or taking out a, line of credit. And they're going, oh, yeah, well, after the convention, that'll basically get paid off again. And it's like, except you never were supposed to be in this kind of cash crunch in the first place. Like, it's one thing to anticipate and know that, things ebb and flow and, utilizing tools like lines of credit to do that. But this was really an emergency measure to pay bills. The party itself is in a pretty dire situation, and it's because all they do is get a bunch of people that pay their $20 subscription and not donate, because you got to donate. You got to get larger donors to help fulfill obligations, and they don't have that. They've largely left.
I was going to say a lot of the big
pick
donors.
Up Steve Bannon after, I don't know, but he can send over some of his. Oh no, never mind. That was all seized. Say the build the wall money, but that was all seized.
Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene will come over to the party.
I wouldn't even be that surprised.
Me either.
Once Mises fully takes it over, they'd probably welcome her. Heiss is probably getting the harpoons out. But
well,
you mean to get hard on?
Somebody mentioned here too. They'll sell their fancy headquarters. I don't know if it's a fancy headquarters. It's like half a townhouse, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not very. But it's worth about $1 million. But from what I understand legally, they can only use that money to fund headquarters. Basically, they can't just cash out on it. They can leverage it to the hilt, but they can't actually just cash out and say, oh, we got $1 million. And even then, that's only 6 months of operations.
But like I was going to say, the big donors, a lot of them have just packed up and left. They don't want to deal with this stuff. Right. Like in the Mises Caucus people, a lot of them are just paying like the minimum amount for the LP, which is fine. If you can't afford it, like whatever. But I feel like the big donations are going to the actual Mises PAC, and it's just paying Heiss's salary instead of actually going towards anything meaningful. Like you're getting some guy like, okay, who's recruiting a bunch of, I don't know, Turning Point USA people to come take over the Libertarian Party. Like if that's really your return on your investment. What'd you say?
Frog people.
Yeah, and then you get a sex offender as the proposed nominee for the governor of Pennsylvania. Like, great job there, Heist. You couldn't even Google the guy's fucking name.
Who's a registered candidate for a House district
for a Republican as a Republican.
As a Republican. Yep.
Yeah,
it's
as
like
a Republican.
You would think bare minimum, like before you nominate a guy for governor, you'd like go to Google and be like, I should probably write his name in. And then it's like, this guy is like, he was convicted of like whipping his dick out in front of little kids. Like that's like one of the first thing that comes up. And he was also the star witness.
The first thing that comes out.
The first thing that comes up is Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, he was the star witness at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping press conference. Like that's his claim to fame.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, it's just funny to me how they say that they're all about bringing principle back to the Libertarian Party, and they're all about, oh, we need a principled message, which I actually agree with, and that's kind of why I even got involved with them in the first place, because I didn't like the kind of message that was coming out of people like Bill Weld. But then when you put up a guy he goes on stage at the convention is just complaining about how the election was stolen from Trump, and he's basically just a MAGA guy, like what libertarian principle is that? It's just, you're just using Republicans to make money. Okay, I want to touch on some of the questions from Pablo here. Do you think
we've also become a MAGA-light party?
Yeah, but he's saying, do you think there's any context in which them and you could work together towards anything? So we'll roundtable this, but I'm gonna go first. There are a lot of individual members of the Mises Caucus that I'm sure I could coalition with on shit. Like if there were a bunch of people who, I don't know, wanted to have some kind of anti-war thing going on, or like had some anti-drug war thing, like there's people in the Mises Caucus. Like I don't hate everyone in the Mises Caucus or something. I don't even know most of them. Like I'm sure I could probably get along with some of them and we could work together on some stuff. I don't think I could work with someone like Heiss on something, because I just know how slimy he is overall. And I know his tactics. I mean, I was part of the caucus for a bit. I know how it works on the inside. Like I couldn't work with him. No.
I mean, same here. I mean, obviously, like if there was a ballot initiative somewhere, or well, we don't have those in Minnesota, but I mean, if there was something that could be a specific purpose for achieving liberty, yes, I could. As far as internal party stuff, or even depending on their candidates, that I don't think I could do. But yeah, other than that.
Yeah, basically what both of you said, the individual members, I'm good with that. When you go back and check my libertarian bona fides, most of the things I was involved with in my heyday of activity and breaking out the old bullhorn and emulating my big idol Alex Jones at the time, I was working with a lot of right libertarians, and I was very able to get along with them as individuals and didn't have any problem with that whatsoever. So my answer is, I guess directly, yeah, I could work with them as individuals, but when you say them in the comment there, if you mean the Mises Caucus as a whole, them as a hive mind, no, because as I said earlier, it is a cult. And when you and if you try to work within it as the standing cult that it is, nothing could ever be accomplished, because nobody is actually talking about the actual topics. It's a whole different world when you deal with them as cult leaders. So no, really, until the caucus is absolved, I guess, and those individual members are freed from the cult, it'd be even near impossible to work with them really in any capacity as it stands.
So I wanted to get to this question too from him. For anyone who is listening without the video, it says, also, I am curious to see your guys' perspective on this, but how do you reckon the Mises people managed to gain so much traction fairly quickly? I think there's a mix of things. So there was kind of a power vacuum in the LP. There were definite issues going on. Like, I'm not going to say everything was going great. Like, the LP was definitely having problems. So I think you had people that disagreed with the direction, with like the Bill Weld kind of stuff. So there was an opening there. But then there were also, I feel like they're also recruiting a lot of the types who like to use the word libertarian when they're not actually libertarian. They're the kind of people that are like, oh yeah, I would join the Libertarian Party, but they're not for securing our borders and stuff like that. I feel like they've leveraged a lot of them fairly well, the people who use the word libertarian without actually knowing what the word libertarian really means. And I also think they're just good at organizing. Like, I'll give them that. They know how to get people galvanized, and they know how to make them all vote on the same thing. They have a very precise structure with, I know they have, like, when you first join the caucus, it wasn't like this when I was in it, but they have a whole setup now where you get placed in a Discord, and you have like a state organizer reaches out to you and gives you like introductory materials. Like, they're very good at the actual getting people together to make them do things. I don't think they're going to be actually good. Yeah. I don't think they're actually going to be good at running the party, because I think that's different than getting a bunch of people to get out of their basement and vote for things. Especially because they're running off, like, don't get me wrong, there were issues with the LP. There are issues with the LP, but there are people with that kind of institutional knowledge that know the basics. They know how to get ballot access in places. They know how to do some level of campaigning, but those people are getting run off right now. And it's all these new people in positions. They have no idea what they're doing. I've seen that a bit from people I know who used to be in the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania and just decided to leave when Mises took it over. Like, there's going to be a very big learning curve for them. And I think I expect a lot of states to just flat out lose ballot access. And some of it honestly seems like they don't really care. Like, I know in Minnesota, a lot of Mises people voted for none of the above for their governor candidate. So they're not even running a governor candidate in Minnesota. I saw that one of the Mises people rationalized that as it's because the Republican candidate in Minnesota isn't that bad, or is fairly liberty minded or something like that. I expect a lot of that.
He's fucking awful. He's fucking awful. All of them are. Although Michelle Bachmann did just drop out. So,
oh my God,
I forgot she existed. Maybe if they're looking, if the Mises run LP of Minnesota is looking for a governor candidate, maybe they can
just call up Michelle Bachmann. God,
she's a Dominionist.
Yep,
literally.
There we go.
Yeah.
Throw some Gary North at her and go join the LP. I mean, that
absolutely
fit right in, apparently. But yeah, she is. Perfect. She's a Dominionist. Yeah.
Anyone else want to? Brian, you want to touch on the question below?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay. Yeah. So the reactionary politics that have been swooping the country. I mean, they've definitely taken advantage of that, and have taken it into a more LP direction. But then when you see ultimately what they end up doing with it is just tagging right along with that reactionary movement, basically jerking off with DeSantis, and Matt Gaetz isn't all that bad. And Matt Gaetz has like one good position, and that's he likes weed. And
he seems to have some similar interests with Tom Woods too.
Yeah, he likes the ladies young. All right.
Right, and and plus two, the lack of understanding some things and how things work. I mean, you look at Heist trying to file an FEC report, and it's literally the most laughable thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm not going to go into the specific errors, but they're hilarious. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. They're complicated reports. The FEC is stupid, whatever, but you got to kind of follow the rules if you want to play the game. It sucks, but you do. And they're just hilarious. Two, you take the recent Disney example thing and not understanding how that works. And the fact that they think they're going after, some kind of special, I mean, it is a special privilege to be able to approve your own building permits. I don't know if it's anti-competitive, because what's Disney competing with? but they, it's the own the libs part too. The reactionary own the libs, do whatever, but yeah, that's where they end up, is just ultimately tagging along with these god awful politicians because they own the libs, and that's what they're doing. And that's an attractive message. Own the libs. I mean, that's an attractive principle right now.
Brian, do you want to say anything? Because I want to get back after you. I want to get back to, because someone just said that we got derailed from talking about Cliff Maloney, so we're gonna have to get back to that. Brian, go first.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. The question posed is, how do you reckon the Mises people managed to gain so much traction fairly quickly? They didn't. They didn't gain it fairly quickly. It's been a long stretch for them to be where they are. Heisey just jumped in at a great point and kind of took that lightning and formed this caucus out of it. And all of those people that one way or another probably would have taken the party over anyway. And I say that because there was always this right-leaning streak, and a very right-leaning streak within the party. It goes back to, like, a lot of the things I've said, the extreme Christian views that are found so often. And so, yeah, I the brutalist break, the Chris Cantwell brutalism, that showed a lot of libertarians for who they were. And then, like Jeremy said, the reactionary phase comes along. Enter Trump. You've got MAGA lights now being welcome into the party. So it was really a perfect storm in how they were able to gain this traction fairly quickly.
Yeah, I don't think I can disagree with anything there. So let's move on to Cliff Maloney again. So for anyone who doesn't know who Cliff Maloney is, I think he was, I don't know what his exact position was. I think it was like president of Young Americans for Liberty. He's been kind of a mainstay in the liberty movement for good amount of time now. I mean, I know he's worked on a lot of campaigns. He's been pretty popular, but I think it was last January, some allegations came out, and once the first allegation dropped, it was rapid fire. Like, all these women commenting, like, all this weird stuff that happened, sexual assault, sexual harassment. It seemed like it wasn't like one person, he said, she said, or something like that. Like, there was so much smoke that it was clear there was fire. And we hadn't heard anything about it for a while. I know Young Americans for Liberty I don't know if they fired him or he resigned because he was going to get fired, but it's basically the same thing. But he was kind of quiet for a while, at least publicly. I mean, he still was on social media, but I didn't really hear much about him. But a few days ago, Cliff Maloney got arrested for, I think it was 2 counts of rape and then 2 counts of aggravated indecent assault or something like that. It was stemming from an incident in 2013 where he's alleged to have roofied a woman, which I buy it based on all these allegations that are going around. I don't know what made them reopen it now. I don't know what got them to actually arrest him for it now. I'm not sure if there's something new that's been dug up or what, but I mean, I believe the allegations here. Obviously, he deserves his day in court and all of that, and if they can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, the justice system shouldn't do anything with it. But it's clear there's at least some kind of gigantic issue with him. At worst, which is probably the case, he's a straight up rapist. But it was interesting before this, when the allegations first came out, how they were handled exactly. Because I know we've talked about him. I'm sure people know who I'm talking about here when I talk about Jeremy Kaufman. He's the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire Senate candidate right now. He's known as kind of being just, I don't know, an edgelord is probably the best term. But when those allegations came out last January, he donated money to Young Americans for Liberty over it. And I have some quotes from him here, actually. So when he donated the money, he screenshotted it and he sent it he replied to Cliff Maloney saying, "Thank you for everything you do, Cliff. If people don't want to work for YAL as a result of this, don't. But Young Americans for Liberty is one of the most effective liberty organizations at a time when there are few. We should not let it be destroyed by rumor and flimsy accusation." Well, first of all, it wasn't flimsy accusation. Like I was saying, it wasn't one person saying something with absolutely no backing. It was like everything came out of the woodwork. I mean, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, this happened to my friend. Like I know this happened to her too." And it was just accusation after accusation. But like when you hear that someone is very credibly accused of sexual assault or sexual harassment, I don't know why your first inclination is to donate money to them and thank them. Like you can like what Young Americans for Liberty does, and you can even you can support them still. Like they got rid of him. I don't know if I'm not sure how good of a job they've done cleaning things up, but you can support them still. But like you don't have to just back this guy unequivocally, basically like the Mises people are doing with Woods now. And now they have a lot of, I mean, Kaufman has a lot of egg on his face over that, and all the people who backed Maloney. I know also when Maloney initially denied, I mean, I'm sure he still denies the accusations, but when he denied the accusations in a statement originally, Kaufman said, "Everyone attacking this statement is a lulbert or a leftist. Those who oppose liberty will do anything to destroy effective organizations like Cliff's." And the statement was just saying like these are all false accusations and all that. So he just got totally behind this guy. And if your first inclination, I understand waiting for more evidence to come out on it or being like these are very serious allegations and they should be handled seriously and I'm waiting to see what happens, but just to play it like a team sport and just come out and say like no, these allegations are definitely false. It's not a great look. Let's just say that.
What's the main difference between Tom Woods and Maloney? The haircut. That was one of the posts that just came up.
But and even when we posted about it the other day, the arrest, some Mises guy who apparently has some reading comprehension issues, so we're happy to send him a free copy of Hooked on Phonics. But he said, I have the quote here. He said, "Wait, this woman had drunk high sex with someone and 9 years later claimed it was rape. Am I reading that correctly?" First of all, no, you are not reading that correctly. She was fucking roofied. But second of all, I don't know. It's again this weird thing. Like I said, I get waiting to see what happens. I get waiting to see what comes out in court. But there's just like this defensive, like, no, they definitely didn't do it. Like they're definitely making this up. It's just weird.
You know why? Because we're the 12 shots party.
I was going to tie that in too. Obviously, the Dave Smith 12 shot situation that wasn't about roofies, but it was about Dave. It was about a hypothetical situation that Dave was talking about. Where
and you know what? I'm going to cut you off real quick, John. That's the other thing. These hypothetical games that libertarians always play, I think it says a lot about them. Well, what about this on the NAP? You know, is this a violation of the NAP if I were to kidnap your kid and, torture them for 16 hours because they walked across my lawn with their bicycle? I've seen those games played forever, and I've always thought it was very weird mental gymnastics.
This weird
and now we have happening in.
Yeah, this weird excuse to try to use liberty to be the worst person possible.
Yes, and I still say it all comes down to the fetishization of the right to discriminate.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you there. Like there are people that support the right to discriminate and they say like the market will work against the people discriminating and we'll all come out against them and we'll use boycotts and stuff like that. And then there's people that want the right to discriminate just because they want to discriminate. Yes. there's a very big difference there.
Yep.
Yes, and that is what so much of the party is made up of. They're longing for this right to discriminate. They're longing for this right to discriminate so that they can get their guns out and shoot at whoever it is they feel they should discriminate against. It's weird. It's this weird LARP. It's this weird role play that seems to go on in the heads of so many libertarians.
The helicopter people and stuff.
Yes. That whole group. Very strange.
I remember this guy named Mikhail Bruning, or Brunning or whatever his name was. He was like some big Hoppian guy. And he used to always tell me that he was going to throw me out of a helicopter. And I remember telling him once, like, I don't know if you'd fit in the door, dude.
Nice.
But back to the 12 shots stuff.
Fatty.
And I don't have any issues with the people's physical appearance, but like if you're gonna take shots at me saying you're gonna try to murder me, like I'll throw something back at you.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with body shaming when it's used in that nature. For example, I know there was some conversation going on online the other day about our old friend, Chase Rachels.
Oh God.
And I remember in a group that I was in years back, the George Godwin group, the original ANCAP group, um, Chase Rachels was just this horrible, awful human being in his little white right and libertarian book out there, and he was just horrible. And so it became a rule in the group that it was okay to body shame him because of his giraffe neck.
I saw the when the other day when the Facebook groups did that weird thing where they were showing like posts from beginnings of groups and stuff like that. It was doing that in Fakertarians discussion group.
Yes, that's
And
where I saw it.
I saw a bunch of Chase Rachel stuff popped up, and it was like such a blast from the past back from 2017.
It's a lot of nostalgia.
The unsuck a dick thing popped up. And if anyone doesn't know that, so Chase Rachels is a guy you could pretty safely call him a neo-Nazi. I haven't seen him online in maybe 3-4 years, something like that. But he used to be, he used to be like a kind of a run-of-the-mill, like radical libertarian. I know he was very into what the Hoppians now would actually call degeneracy. Like he was I think he was like polyamorous and all that kinds of stuff. And then he took this weird traditionalist turn. And I mean, I don't care if people are traditional, like they can live however they want to, but he was like, it was this weird, like, and he was known as being bisexual, but he took this weird, like, anti-gay turn, which it didn't really make any sense. And he also
it does. Self-hating, man.
No, I know.
That's that self-hating shit right there. Like, wow, you're gonna force it on everyone else because you don't like this part of who you were born as.
But
weird
on his
flex.
website though, like I remember the first thing he made this website called Radical Capitalist. And I remember the first article was talking about how black people are proto-humans and stuff like that. It was like this weird thing about how they're like descended from Neanderthals, or it was something like that. And I was like, what are you talking about, dude? And then he had another article about how like, or I don't know, this wasn't an article. Or maybe it wasn't an article and he talked about it on Facebook, but he was kind of justifying the Holocaust by saying like, oh, well, Hitler was like trying to ship them off to Madagascar and give them their own country, and he just wanted to be left alone. He had another article called Fascism is a Step Toward Liberty, which, I mean, you don't even need to read that to be like, dude, what are you talking about? But the thing I was talking about the other day, he was going off, well, I mean, it's from 2017, but the thing I saw the other day again, he was going off in some group about how like, it's some anti-gay stuff, and people brought up like, aren't you bisexual? Like, weren't you involved in a lot of this? Like, not saying it was a bad thing at all. It's just saying like, why are you so anti-gay if like you're bisexual? And I know one of our group members, Jeff Pope, he said, I don't know, man, you can't unsuck a dick. And then Chase just comes back with, actually, you can. That was I don't know. That's a classic of ours. It was like,
actually, you can.
He didn't explain it all. It was just actually you can.
Nope.
Yeah, just actually you can. Good for you for unsucking that dick, Chase. Good for you. Why do you want to though, dude? Like, why? Who cares? Like, why does this become such a huge part of what this ilk spits out? Because that's a good example. About 2017, all of this stuff was really gaining a lot more traction within the liberty movement. You had Hoppe writing the original introduction to that book, which couldn't be more explicit: white, right, and libertarian. It was an expression of what Chase thought every person should subscribe to, and it was a prerequisite that they be white. And I remember that being explained away too. Well, you don't have to be white. You just have to live like a white. Like you have to act like that. It's like, well, what about the gays? Well, they just can't act like gays. And that's what it's so funny, because the tankies, they have this same belief system. It's so weird to me. They all want to like force individuals to hide who they are as individuals from the public square at all. That's the antithesis of liberty to me, man. Like, call me a crazy old hippie. I'm good with that. But isn't that what it's all about? At the end of the day, being able to be the person you are. And they don't want that. They want to squelch that. They want to squash that. And that's ultimately why I can no longer be a part of this party. I'm a registered Democrat now. I'm just going to put it out there and say that. Yeah, I'm a registered Democrat. And you know why I did it? To own the right. That's why I did it. I'm like, you know what? I can't be a part of this party anymore. I'm not going to be so wishy-washy as to say I'm independent. Now, you know what? I'm going to go where the extreme beliefs are, the extreme beliefs in the name of liberty. Because when you get into the ideas of what the differences between a Democratic Party and the Republican Party now, oh my God, man. Like, I know it used to be a real expression in liberty circles, and when I see it today, I laugh so loud that the two parties are exactly the same. Oh, no, 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 no. They're not exactly the same. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Not by the way we used to say they were exactly the same. You have a fully reactionary party now, and then you still have the party of middle-aged women with minivans and kids. So my thing is, if I can't, change the world and change liberty, I may as well get a nice hookup.
Yeah, I can safely say I will not be joining the Democratic Party, but I very well may change my voter registration to no party affiliation if I feel the need to, because I don't want to give them anything if the Libertarian Party is going to turn into what I think it's going to turn into. I don't want to give them one tick on a box for anything. Like,
right.
Let them fight for themselves. I'd rather just burn the thing down, Like,
I'm in Minnesota, so we don't have party registration. So yeah.
Okay.
I just can't vote for different parties on a primary ballot.
Okay.
I have to pick one, otherwise the ballot's invalidated.
But I mean, if the Libertarian Party becomes something I can't support, I'll actively work against it. Like, that's fine with me. I'm happy to do that.
Well, and that's why I changed my registration. It was just I didn't want to be identified with that, And I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do it,
isn't the delegate count have to do with?
Yeah, the amount of registered.
Have that as a
there's something like that.
Something.
Yeah. I don't foresee myself at any time in the future attending. And I used to go to, for probably 4 or 5 years running, I went to every state, at least annually. I'd go to the state convention. I'd be in contact in email threads with the state party. I was very active at one point. And then with all this stuff happening and headed in this direction, I'm just out, man, because it's not even people I want to hang out with, and at the end of the day, it's a big volunteership. And if the people you're around are a bunch of fascies, and even if they keep that part to themselves, they're still spouting stuff about the Jews. I saw that a few times. It's just not a thing I want to be involved with. And it's not something I want to, be a part of.
Yeah,
the people that I've met over the years, you guys and so many of the people that, I've become really good friends of mine, have been wonderful. And that's fantastic. And I've met some good people within the liberty movement. But where it is right now, let that ship go down. Let that mother burn to the ground and let it all just be a memory.
Can't disagree with you there. I mean, I think things could be salvaged in the future once the Mises people get bored. It's possible once they burn everything down and make a total mockery of everything and lose all the ballot access and all that stuff. I think there's the possibility that they could leave, but for the time being, like, if that's what it's going to be, I'm working against it.
Well, and another prediction that I have is that I think Mises will splinter themselves, and they'll continue infighting. I mean, that's just going to always happen with the LP, and or anybody that dares question Dowdy Heiss will just be kicked out.
Well, yeah, they've been kicking people for even saying that Tom Woods groomed his ex-wife. It's not even like they haven't even been like crazy about it. Like, they weren't like, oh, you guys are all assholes. Like, Tom Woods is a groomer and we should, like, I don't know, execute him or some shit like that.
Right.
They're just, even people just being like, yeah, it looks like Tom Woods groomed his ex-wife. They're like, no, that's not allowed in here. We're not going to have that kind of stuff. That's too far.
It's a cult.
And they will change the party structure in a way that allows them to kick out anybody they don't like. And so they'll continue to faction, and they will it'll just shrink to nothingness. I mean, I don't know how.
Part of me kind of wants to stick around just to see if they'll kick me out. It sounds like that could actually be kind of fun. Like, just be like really loud and obnoxious, and just be like talking to like media outlets about how terrible the Libertarian Party has turned into, which I'm already doing, actually. By the way, there might be some articles dropping. Probably maybe 2 before the convention and 1 after. But
dude, I want to be identified in press stuff as reformed libertarian. That's how I want to.
Should I send that to because I'm going to be quoted probably in at least 2 national articles from different organizations, maybe 3. So maybe I should add something about that.
Reformed libertarian.
But yeah, for sure, I know of at least 1 that's dropping before convention, possibly next week, from what I've heard, and it's not going to be particularly flattering to a certain crowd. I will just say that. I'll leave the name out, but don't bring it up. But we may have referenced the name a little earlier in this episode, so we'll see what's coming.
It's been a ongoing rumor.
Yeah, it has. And rumor sounds kind of like groomer, which Tom Woods is. Okay.
No rumor. He's a groomer.
All right. Do we have anything else we want to touch on today before we wrap up?
No, I think we're good.
Don't say touch on.
Yeah.
I think
it's okay. It's good. Catholicism.
But yeah, that's not good. I'm a priest.
But okay. So, well, thanks to everyone for watching. Keep an eye out on the vote, which closes tonight at I think it's 3 a.m. Actually, let me send out the link to the LNC email thread so you can see where people vote. I think I'm doing this right. Let's see if I'm doing this right. There we go. Yeah, so it should be in the comments now. So keep an eye on that. If your regional rep or anyone hasn't voted, feel free to put some pressure on them. And I usually say we'll see you again in 2 weeks, but we might see you again in 1 week. We might see you in 2 weeks. We might see you in 3. It depends on. It's kind of like a matter of what we feel like doing at the time. So we'll see you then. But thanks everybody for watching. Serious.
We'll see you when we see you.
Exactly. See you guys.
See ya.
Buy shirt, get money. No, other way. We get money. You send money, we get shirt.